you beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, law of attraction, and all of that juicy goodness. I'm an intuitive reader, manifesting coach, a Reiki practitioner, a life path guide, and mentor here to help you along your awakening journey so that you can co-create the life of your dreams. And in this video, I'm going to share bits and pieces of my story and how I ended up here on YouTube teaching to all of you and sharing and experiencing life in this new way, where the old Michelle was a high school health and PE teacher for 17 years. So on your journey, you might be becoming somebody you don't recognize. You might be witnessing yourself wanting to learn about new things. You are living so incredibly differently in your head. I remember there was a few times on my journey where I would be sitting on a park bench and I would see people walk by, and I would have this quick glimmer of the old me and what I used to think about. And I used to care what that family walking by was thinking about. Were they thinking about me being alone, sitting there by myself? Or was I thinking about what I looked like and what I was wearing? And I was always so worried and thinking that other people were either judging me or I was judging myself. And when I spiritually awakened, I started to realize that I was now thinking differently. I was looking at that family going, how beautiful are they? Oh, I could feel the love between them. I could feel the love from the sun and the trees and the breeze. And I was in this new state of being, and it felt so good. And I remember thinking, I wonder who else thinks like this. I wonder who else has shifted gears, because I could recognize my old self in others by what they would say, how they would start conversations, how they would compliment physical appearances so much because that's what they put value on, instead of the energy of somebody or the joy or their experiences. They were so focused on the physical appearance or how much money they made. So everything, when I spiritually awakened, everything shifted internally. I became different inside because I was falling into my soul. I was falling into love. I was falling into appreciation and gratitude. So to backtrack a little bit, my daughter passed away on August 29th in 2012. She was born July 13th of 2012, so she was only here for 6 weeks. She was born with a muscle disorder. My whole pregnancy, I did not know anything was wrong until she was born, and she wasn't moving her arms and legs, and she was struggling to breathe. So they had to immediately put oxygen on her. They took her to the NICU. She went for immediate testing. Then we took a helicopter ride to CHOP, which is the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And she was there for 6 weeks, tests after tests, trying to figure out what was it? What did she have? We thought maybe it was muscular dystrophy, but then the results from that came back negative. And then she ended up declining her last 3 weeks and getting worse. She started to get better, and then she got worse. And we didn't know what she had when she passed. 6 months after she passed, I got a letter in the mail saying, we received the results of your daughter's muscle biopsy. They took a little piece of her quadricep muscle after she had passed to test it. And the testing took a while, and they finally found she had something called nemaline myopathy. When I got that letter 6 months later, I felt so much peace in my body, because the whole time that she was alive and the whole time post loss, I had no answers. I did not know what just happened to me. It felt like a tornado came in and uprooted me. And it shifted every aspect of my life. It shifted my mind. It shifted my appreciation. I started to look at moms and was just so jealous. And I wanted them to be so grateful for what they had because I didn't have it. I was looking at people walking down the street being like, you're so lucky you can walk. Like my daughter couldn't move her legs. So my real awakening started the year that my daughter was born and the year that she passed away. But then I kind of stayed in the same spot for a really long time, for like 5 or 6 years. I stayed in my grief. I didn't meet my mentor yet. I was obsessively working out to try to push away the depression and the anxiety. And I became focused on just getting out of my feelings. I wasn't actually feeling things. And then when I met my mentor back in 2018, I went through a really tough breakup where I just didn't want to be here anymore. It was almost like the end of me. The loss was enough. And then to have a boyfriend after, that loss and to get close to something again and really love him and want to share life with him. We were talking about marriage, and then a week later he broke up with me, and I was devastated. But that was for my journey. That was for my awakening. He sparked my true awakening. So I was seeking help at that time because I was so depressed. I was skin and bones. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I was living in my brother's basement because I had to move out of his place. And I came across my mentor, who's a Reiki practitioner, and she was teaching a meditation class, a crystal bowls class, and she started to work with me one-on-one. And she took every aspect of the old Michelle and allowed her to fall away. I was jealous. I was vindictive. I was a snooper. I was a liar. I was not in a refined state. I was not in my soul. I was in this wounded version of myself who would do anything to feel loved and accepted. So with my friends, I would kind of not always tell the truth. I would tell them what they wanted to hear. I would people please. I would snoop through my boyfriend's things because I didn't trust them. I would manipulate situations and I would tell people what they wanted to hear just so I could be liked. I was completely out of my soul. I was not connected. And my mentor retethered me. She showed me all the ugly parts of myself. And I remember in every session, I would cry because I was so embarrassed about who I was. I was so sad that I had become this person that I didn't even know. I didn't even know there was something else possible. Like me sitting on a bench, observing the family and the trees and the sun. That was not even a thought in my mind before. But when you spiritually awaken and you come onto this journey, you become somebody new. You fall back into who you came here to be. And the wounded part of you is the part, the shadow. It's the stuff that you don't want to look at and you're embarrassed by yourself and you hate your past behavior and you're like, why did I do that? Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. But it doesn't matter anymore. I always say it's a costume that we're taking off. We're unzipping it and stepping out of it. So I'm sharing all of this because I want to comfort all of you that if you're going through an awakening and you're thinking new thoughts and you're appreciating life in a new way and you're just so different, nobody else needs to see it. You don't need to tell everybody about it. You just need to be so proud and happy that you're no longer in that costume. Please don't hold on to the shame and the guilt and the frustration and the anger. Allow it to come through you. If you feel it on a Thursday at 2 p.m., cry it out. Scream, yell, punch a pillow, do something to get those emotions out because you've been through tough things. If you were wounded, right? We've all been through trauma and we have to let it go. We need to show up and do our mission, and we cannot hold the pain from our past in a negative way. We can take the good from that pain and use it as our purpose. So when we spiritually awaken, we start to see all the ugly parts of ourselves and the patterns and the behaviors, and it takes a while to unlearn it. And that's what I do in my mentorship program is I help people see their patterns. I say, oh, is it okay if I point this out because I see a version of me in you? And it's really clear for me to now see it in other people. And I only like to work with the people that are wanting to see it, and not wanting to kind of gloss over it and say, no, I just want to manifest my desires. I don't want to look at that part of myself. And unfortunately, if you're in that costume, you're going to struggle to manifest because it's all resistance. It's not your true nature. You're not in your highest vibration. And as we move on in the journey, like for me with my grief and all the things I've been through, it comes up every once in a while. Those old costumes somehow end up on my body again. And I end up walking through life kind of being in that old mindset. And I can recognize it now and say, okay, I see this coming up. Maybe there was residual energy inside of me that needs to come out. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to allow it to be here. And if anything, maybe I am around somebody else who might be acting out these patterns and behaviors, and that's why I'm feeling it. I might be picking up somebody else's energy, and maybe I'm being guided to help them see their patterns so that they can stop. Because our main mission, why we spiritually awaken, is because we came here to break cycles, to stop patterns, to teach about unconditional love, to be unconditional love, to help raise the vibration on our planet. and to leave a mark and to let people know that we are worthy of everything just for breathing. We should not hold on to shame and guilt and fear and worry. And we all go through this process. You know, if you're on my channel, you're probably experiencing breakdown in your life. You're probably experiencing the parts of you that you don't want to look at. And maybe you're seeing patterns, or you keep attracting the same partner that keeps cheating on you, or you can't leave this marriage that's toxic, and maybe you have narcissists in your family and you keep entertaining them and you keep allowing them to abuse you. Well, you're seeing the pattern that your soul chose to experience. And we're meant to experience it so that we can heal it and we can step out of that costume. Once you're out of the costume, you no longer attract those kinds of people. And coming out of the costume looks like your awareness. It looks like you acting differently, thinking differently, not throwing hate or anger towards anybody, seeing everybody as a character in your movie that's here to teach you a lesson. And as we awaken, our soul expands too. I just got a message that the feeling of expansion can feel like, I want to be out in like nature. I want to be away from people. I just want to go for a drive and be alone somewhere. I cannot stand another minute at this job with these people who feel like they're over my shoulder, even though they're not really over my shoulder. A spiritual awakening, your soul wants space. It wants time. And I know when I was going through my awakening, I would take these long drives around farmland. I would go see horses and animals all by myself. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. Sometimes I would post it on social media. If I was feeling really lit up, I would do these long walks on these like tree-lined streets where there was nobody in sight. And I just felt so good feeling the space, because for so long I was wrapped up tight in a costume of wounds and trauma. And I finally felt free. I was slowly, every session with my mentor, I was slowly taking off another costume. I was becoming more me. I was appreciating things more, and things were coming into my life magically. And I just was like, this feels so good. I hope everybody experiences this. And again, it's the comparison, the old Michelle, and how she used to think when walking through a store. I would think about how my body feels. What am I wearing? Are people looking at me? And now when I'm walking through a store, I'm like, ooh, who can I run into that maybe we can share a cool story together? We can inspire each other. Or what yummy food do I want to get? Like my mindset is just so different now. The things that used to matter to me don't matter. And now service matters. I am always looking to inspire or to be inspired. And we all assume that everybody is thinking the same thoughts as us, but they're not. We are in a different headspace than everybody around us. And if we are in a good headspace and we're spiritually awakened, we're out of our costumes, we now need to be the example for others. We need to speak up and let people know that there's this new way they could possibly think about a situation. And they don't have to stay stuck in their mind feeling trapped at their job or trapped in an illness, and they can think bigger and they can start to say things like, oh, I feel amazing today, instead of every day waking up saying, oh, my life sucks and this blah, 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 and I'm worried about this. We have to be the example. And that's why I wanted to create this video and just kind of flow and see what came through, is because when we go through a spiritual awakening, it can be really grueling. There can be highs and lows, and looking at our shadow parts of ourselves and our patterns, and we might want to run from them and to continue doing addictions. And that's not the answer, because everything will get worse. Everything will persist. If you have an ailment, it'll get harder to deal with. If you're at a job you don't like, your boss will be difficult. And we have to understand that if we don't face it, it's going to get worse. And I know all of you are facing it, and that's why you're watching this video. But for others in your life who are suffering, send them good energy, pray for them, and just hope that maybe one day they'll start to shift their internal state of being. You know, pray for their soul to awaken. Pray for their soul to finally want space and to break free and to not be controlled by somebody else. And pray for their strength to empower them to make those decisions. I'm going to wrap up this video here. I know it was kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience. I wanted to share about the costumes that we all wear and to have compassion for others because they might be in a costume that they can't see. And we can try and help them see it, but if they don't want to see it, we got to let go. But we are in charge of us. We are in charge of the costumes that we jump in and out of. And the goal is to stay out of them, to stay in soul, to spread love, to know what unconditional love is, to set boundaries, and to call in and to be a co-creator, to call in our desires. That's what we came here to do. We came here to share who we are and to see that we can dance with life and we can dance with the universe. And it is a whole new way of being. Prior to the spiritual awakening, you didn't know all this. You didn't know about patterns. You were just going through life. So if you're watching somebody else going through their life and they might not know this, it's okay. Okay. I think maybe that's the message that I feel guided to share right now is have compassion for others who are not quite awake yet. They're going to awaken when the time is right for them. Your job is to stay in your own lane, focus on yourself, keep doing the work to break the cycles in your family line so that we can co-create a new earth with a higher vibration filled with wonderful people wanting to share their gifts. All right, lovies, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.